How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Patriot DIY channel. This is going to be a little bit different kind of video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to can your own vegetables. Alright guys, so if you followed the channel for a while, you know we built some raised garden beds in the past. If you haven't seen that video, make sure you go check it out. I'll put a link to that right here in the description along with the build plans for how to build that. Now we've been enjoying those garden beds over the last few years, adding new ones as we go. And this year, as we're harvesting some of the vegetables out of the garden, I thought it'd be a good idea to show you guys how to can your own vegetables for long-term storage. We're gonna be doing green beans today. It's very straightforward, pretty simple process, and a great way to get kind of an intro into canning. Now the reason you'd want to can your vegetables is just to preserve them. So once you follow this process, the green beans in this can will be good for at least a year, maybe longer than that, just on a shelf in your pantry without any refrigeration. Now for vegetables with low acidity like green beans, it's best to use a pressure canner. So the pressure canner that I have today is the Presto canner. I will have a link to that along with all the other stuff we're using in this video linked in the description below for you guys to check out. Now I'm going to get in here and show you all the stuff you need to start canning and show you the full process. But first guys, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Now there's just a few things you're going to need for this. Obviously you're going to need your jars along with rings and lids. If you're canning with salt, you want to make sure you're using a canning or pickling style salt. And to make the process easier, we have this little canning toolkit. I will have a link to that in the description below as well. Then of course you're going to need your canner. The canner that I'm using today is the Presto pressure canner. There are some foods that you can water bath can, but for this process today we're going to be using a pressure canner. Now if you are going to be doing your own canning, I definitely recommend picking up some type of canning book. This is the Ball Home Preserving book. It's going to have all the recipes and processes for canning different types of foods, and that is very important. You want to make sure you follow some type of approved recipe and pressure settings and things like that to make sure that that food is going to be safe. So make sure you check that out, and I will have a link in the description below. Now let's get started. The first thing we needed to do was harvest the green beans from our garden. The kids had a blast doing this and learned a lot along the way. Next, we needed to snap them and prepare them for canning. Basically, all we're doing here is snapping off the stem end and then breaking each one in half. Next, we just need to get them nice and clean before putting them in our jars. And while we're getting everything ready to go, we'll go ahead and drop in the canning rack. You do need to make sure you're using one of these. I've also already added the recommended 3 quarts of water to the bottom of the canner, along with 2 tablespoons of white vinegar to help prevent staining on the jars. I also have some water boiling here. That's what we're going to be putting into the jars with the green beans. And we have our lid sanitizing over here in some hot water. I also sanitize all the jars and rings over in the dishwasher. With everything prepared, we're ready to start filling our jars. I'm just going to go ahead and start packing these green beans into these warm jars. And I really want to make sure I pack these in tight and fit as many green beans as I can into each jar. Next, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of canning salt into each jar. Now this part is not necessary, it's mainly just for flavor. With the jars packed and ready, I'm going to go ahead and start pouring my boiling water into each jar. Now I'm filling these almost full, leaving an inch of headspace at the top of the jar. And I'm going to follow that process for each one. Once I've poured my boiling water into each jar, I want to get rid of any air bubbles that might be down in the jar, and I'm just going to do that by running a knife along the edge and pushing any of those air bubbles up to the top. With that done, I'm ready for lids, but first I'm going to take a wet paper towel and just clean off the tops of the jars to make sure we don't have any salt or pieces of green bean or anything that could prevent it from sealing properly. Then I'll take my sanitized lids and start placing them on each jar, making sure that it's nice and centered. Now I want to start putting the rings on. While I'm doing this, I'm going to try to hold that lid in place and thread the ring on just finger tight. You don't need to crank down on this. Just finger tight is all you need here. Then I'll start placing all the jars down into the pressure canner and sitting them directly on that cooking rack. Now while I'm doing this, I want to try to evenly space these jars, but I only had enough green beans for 6 jars, and so I'm going to be adding a jar of just water in the middle here, and that's going to help prevent these jars from banging around or falling over inside the canner during the process. With that done, I'm ready to seal and secure the lid, and I turn the burner on high to get it starting to heat up. Once it's reached the proper temperature, you should get a constant stream of steam coming from the vent pipe, and you're going to want to let that steam vent like this for about 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes is up, you can add your pressure regulator on top of that vent pipe, and the pressure will start to build up inside of the canner. Now you want to consult your recipe to find out what pressure you need to reach for the food that you're canning. For mine, I'm going to let this heat up until I reach 11 pounds of pressure, and once 11 pounds of pressure is reached, I'm going to start my timer. For these green beans, we need to do 25 minutes. So I'm going to start my timer and make sure that the pressure doesn't drop below 11 pounds for 25 minutes. After the 25 minutes is up, you want to turn off the heat, remove the canner from the cooking surface, and wait for that pressure to get back down to 0. Once the pressure's at 0, it's safe to remove the lid and start removing your cans. Now you want to be careful while you're doing this because it is still going to be very hot. So I'm going to use my jar lifter here to lift these out, and I want to make sure I'm putting these on a towel, not directly on the countertop. Over the next few minutes, you should start to hear those lids popping and sealing. You want to let these sit for about 24 hours to slowly cool. The next day, once the jars are fully cooled, you can go ahead and check to make sure that you have a good seal. The easiest way to do that is just press in the center of the lid. Here's an example of the difference between a sealed jar and one that is not properly sealed. And your freshly canned green beans are ready for storage. All right guys, that is it for canning your own green beans. I hope this video helped you out, at least help get you started in the process of learning how to can your own food. It's kind of a lost art nowadays, but I think it is important to know how to do this kind of thing for yourself. If you guys have any questions, make sure you let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget, I will have links to all of the stuff that we used here today in the description below if you want to pick it up for yourself. I hope this video helped you out, guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.